Modern.
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 We're prepping for a voyage.
Modern.
The force of an old-fashioned equals whiskey mass times bitters acceleration.
Why don't you make that a double?
Modern Bar Cart.
What's shaking, cocktail fans? Welcome to Modern Bar Cart Live. I'm your host, Modern Bar Cart CEO Eric Kozlik. Thanks for joining me for our inaugural holiday gift guide episode where we give you a rundown of what's cool and giftable in the spirits and cocktail space so that you can dazzle your friends with your gifting savviness, or hey, maybe even toss a link to your significant other so that they get you exactly what you want this year. This, of course, is a live episode, so we're not going to drag out this intro, but I do want to share just a couple things before we jump in. First, we talk a little bit about Boozy advent calendars in this show, and generally I'm not a fan of them, but we did have a listener at StarStraff on Instagram send over a really cool DIY advent calendar she made using a bunch of stuff that's very easy to source just around the house or at the supermarket or craft store. So despite our generally negative review of Spiritus advent calendars, please do head over to the show notes page for links to some of the advent calendars out there that we do think do a decent job, as well as a breakdown of that craftier DIY approach. Second, keep in mind that a few of the products we list are actually things that we've just recently onboarded specifically for the holiday season. I will tell you that if you're looking at grabbing our Art of the Cocktail kits, those will probably be listed on the site maybe a day or two after this episode drops, because we've had so many cocktail glasses and bar tools taking their sweet time to get to us. And when I say sweet time, I mean we ordered them months ago and they're still not here. So we do apologize. Also, we sold out of the premium cocktail smoker kits in just 3 days after the live stream. But when we do get to that whole cocktail smoking segment of the show, you'll see we do have some of the regular smoker kits without the butane torches that are still available. Finally, the last day to place an order to ensure that everything's going to get to its final destination safe and sound before Christmas is going to be December 17th, 2020. So don't delay. Place your order soon. With that, get yourself ready for a holiday syrup, cocktail smoking, barrel-aged good time as I sit down with Modern Bar Cart co-founder Ethan Hall to review some of the best holiday cocktail gifts of 2020.
All right,
are we live?
We are live. It appears that unless I've done something wrong yet again, we are live on all of the correct channels at all the correct volumes and perhaps even some of the correct resolutions, although that was something we were fighting with here early on. Ethan Hall, how the hell are you?
Well, after watching that, I gotta say I am in no place to complain about the state of my life or the organizational qualities of it. So, thank you for giving me that reality check, Kaz, as we went to set up this studio.
Yeah, it's you can see a little bit of it on IG Live, but it's quite the little setup we have here. Let's see if our soundboard works, because that's one thing we didn't actually check yet.
Whoa. Okay. I didn't realize we were getting live applause here, too.
Yeah, we are. And so like I said, we're trying to do a couple of things better every time we do this. So now we have a soundboard. I'm going to try not to abuse it, although we are flying solo today without a producer, so I can't make any promises for future episodes here. So we're doing a holiday gift guide, and I've been waiting for a long time to do this. It's actually been incredibly difficult to source some of this stuff, but finally here we are. It is Sunday. What's the day? Is this like December 7th? 7th, I think.
It is the 6th.
It's the 6th. All right. Well, it feels like I've aged about 3 years in the past week, so I'm not worried about messing up some dates here. So by the 7th or 8th, we should have all of this stuff up on the website. We already have a couple of these things that we're about to showcase. But before we jump into some of the stuff that we have, I wanted to see if we could maybe kick off this holiday gift guide by speaking in general about gifting bottles for the holidays, because it's definitely something that's tempting to do. Generally, bottles, no matter what your price point is, there is a bottle at that price point that you could give. So for me, they're generally fairly attractive gifting options. I know that you and I often will swap bottles back and forth on festive and non-festive occasions. So how do you think about what's a good bang for your buck when gifting a bottle to somebody?
I break it down to a few parameters. One is, am I trying to do like a host gift to someone for their holiday party? That gives me more of a range of, let's just make this a crowd pleaser. So, think about what your price range is. I think you can get a very solid, what I'll call like a familiar bottle, like a Maker's Mark. I'm not trying to drop brands, but your traditional, nice-ish looking bottles of whiskey, cognac, and the like. But one of the nice things, if you're traveling a distance or if you're just trying to, put a little more thought into it, think local. Your local distiller, if you've got one, is a great place to start, or something in your region. I would say play with that, because even if you're wrong, at least there was a little more thought behind it.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I actually do with my stepbrother. He is big into beer, so what I'll do is before Christmas, I'll put together an eclectic 6-pack from DC, because he's always on Untapped and stuff like that. Ticking off beers, as our good friend David Brenton likes to say, ticking them off. And so I'll bring him some stuff that he hasn't had from down here, and then he'll grab me some stuff from Massachusetts, and we'll just do a swap. It's not even like so much a gifty thing. It's sort of like a beer swap. So yeah, I like the local angle. And one of the things that I tend to think about around the holiday season that I generally go the complete opposite direction on for the rest of the year is bottle prettiness. There's something to be said for a nice bottle of Bombay Sapphire. It's a very pretty bottle. It reminds me of the color of some of those blue Christmas lights.
Right. That's kind of where I was going with the wax or any of those things. If you've got a nice label on there, I'm already in the main shot, cause you should back it up. Let everyone see your pretty face. The other nice way to go for it, and again, since I'm betting he's watching right now, our friend Russell would always say, if you ever lived outside the U.S., especially in countries that don't drink a lot of alcohol, it's kind of like Johnny Walker Red from Duty Free becomes its own sort of currency. And so there are some of those really recognizable international brands that I think if you got to think your inside joke angle with the recipient. But I'm not Emily Post. I'm not going to go down the how do you put thoughtfulness into a gift? How do you put personalization into a gift? I think there's a long range, but as low as like $20 or $30, you can get a really nice thing. The other thing I would say, if you're price conscious, or if you want to get a few things, a lot of these distillers will do those, either 375 ml or even what would normally be kind of the little flask sized bottle to, put in your pocket while you're walking around on a cold day. We don't do that here.
No, of course not.
Some of your nicer distilleries, something like 1.8 in our area,
yeah,
actually has special releases that only go in small formats. Those are great, especially because it lets the person just bust it out on a special occasion, enjoy it, and it's done.
Yep, totally. And I was just on a call, sort of a Google Meet. One of the other people who was sort of presenting to this large group of spirits enthusiasts was Sandy Wood from 1A. And they're actually launching a bourbon liqueur, which is not a bourbon cream liqueur, though. So it's probably closer to like a Drambuie meets bourbon.
Okay. So like a rock and rye, but...
Kind of. I think I didn't get all the specs, and this was not a big Q&A type thing. But anyway, 1.8, a great choice around here in DC for sure. And they do have like lots of those small things. I know that, for example, Republic Restoratives is doing bottled cocktails to go. Right. I know our friends at 10th Ward are doing ready to drink canned cocktails, actually using our bitters. They've got a Corpse Reviver, and then I can't remember exactly off the top of my head what the second one that they have is. I think it's a penicillin, but they had trouble getting it passed through because penicillin is medicine and you can't call booze medicine. So anyway, I think
how long have you been sitting inside your house? I'm pretty sure in the last 9 months I would beg to differ.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of options in terms of like if you want to give somebody something that is not just a straight up bottle of liquor, you can do that too. But I wanted to hit before we get into some of the like the ice things, the mixers, the glassware options that we have here, and some of the fun new kits that we've got. Dun dun dun. I want to talk about two other boozy things. One would be engraved bottles, and the other is the Advent calendars. Which one of those do you want to start with?
All right, let's talk engraved bottles. There are some distilleries that will do this for you. I actually think it's pretty nice. I got an engraved bottle for being in someone's wedding. That was a really thoughtful little thing. Wasn't it's a pretty sourceable bottle of whiskey, but the addition of personalizing it with a date, a name, and everything else, a very thoughtful gift. Some distillers will do this for you in house. I really love that because in this case, you don't want to be running around doing multiple steps on your gift. Let's just be real.
Yeah, 1-8, I believe, is also doing that sort of thing. And so this is where you're going to want to head to social media and maybe just do a quick survey of your favorite local distilleries. If they're doing these events, they're going to have them on social media or on their newsletters. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and subscribe to all these newsletters. I do mostly for sort of like a recon type thing so that I don't miss something big that I otherwise would miss. But I get a lot of newsletters, and around this time of year between Thanksgiving and Christmas and the other holidays is generally when you're going to see those sort of events pop up, sort of like swing by. Or you can even, like a lot of them due to COVID, have e-commerce setups now, which is kind of good because you can just like enter in the notes who you want to inscribe it to. It's actually really easy, and it can be done contactless. So yeah, I like the inscribed bottles or the engraved bottles. And let's talk a little bit about advent calendars because I think they can be done well, but I think they're generally done poorly. Have you ever had a liquor or wine or booze-based advent calendar?
I'm going to say no. I get the idea. You put the little nip-sized bottles, the airplane bottles, if you will, into the different slots. But I feel like, are you going for variety? Because that's a lot of different... It's a lot of different shit to put in there. I
know. So like the one I will give credit to just for like sheer like don't give a damn. Like there are wine advent calendars where it's just a 24 rack of wine. And you bust out a bottle every day.
Oh, I'm down for that.
And so it's like, all right, if you're going to go that hard, yeah, mad respect. But so generally what you're going to be seeing in these advent calendars, and I have never had one because I don't know. I can't really justify the bang for the buck, and nobody I know like who is in the gifting mood for me is like they generally know what I like, so they get me just what I like. So it's been one of those gifts that I've sort of been skipped over, I guess, for the past couple of years. But in my travels online, and we will post on the show notes page for this episode a set of links for some of the good ones. We're going to put together some of the better done ones, and I'm going to give you a variety. So like if you've got a gin lover, we're going to give you a pretty good gin advent calendar that covers different bases. If you're a whiskey lover or you're shopping for a whiskey lover, ditto there. Generally, they're gimmicks, and you can sort of tell based on the price point. Like the less expensive it is, like if it's less than like $80,
I mean, that's a lot of booze.
It's a lot of booze. So it's like if you want a good advent calendar, you're gonna have to shell out. And to me, that's sort of where it prices itself out of me being interested, because if I get, for example, like a gin advent calendar, I don't want a gin drink every night for 25 nights.
Right.
So like I'm already behind. Whereas like the little, like when I was a kid, I had the advent calendars with the chocolate in them. And can you have a small medallion of chocolate every night after dinner? Yes. Especially as a kid, you know? And so that's where I kind of see this concept being a little bit weird with adults, because it's like, how depraved can you be?
I mean, thanks for ruining your Christmas present, but it was just going to be a handle of vodka with lines on it for every day leading up to the holiday.
Well, we've got a clear jug in the other room that we can just draw some lines on, so yeah. I think that's fine.
That's just giving you an idea of pacing.
That's an ounce. I mean, a regular 750 ml bottle of spirits is, it's 25 ounces. It's an ounce a day. So maybe if you're too cheap to get an actual advent calendar, maybe just get a piece of painter's tape, get a bottle, and then do the little striations so that your friends can drink to the appropriate levels. So again, I'm not a big fan of advent calendars, but if you're looking, like, I could see if someone's like, if you're in conversation with someone who's like, man, I just really want to learn more about X spirit. I mean, that's an amazing gift if you have the cash to shell out and you think that they're actually going to benefit from that diversity. Just for me, from a practical mixing standpoint, or from a practical sipping and tasting note standpoint, it's just not doing it for me. So
So if you're planning on getting Eric Kozlik a booze-based gift this year, all you people out there in social media land, engrave a bottle for him.
Yeah, just don't even do that. Just give me a bottle.
Yeah, and want to really quickly return to this, and then we should get into some of the goodies that we're going to put on display is, thanks to the relaxing in regulations in a lot of, pretty much the whole country at this point for booze, you can ship alcohol via e-commerce. So with everything going on with just having to leave your house and endanger your life potentially to go ship something, put it on someone else. Just go directly to the producer, see if they'll ship. Most of them are happy to do it.
Yep.
If not, there's usually a liquor store that will do it for you.
And you should also, before that, like if you want to set expectations, you should try and figure out if the person you're gifting to lives in a state or jurisdiction that tends to be cool about that sort of thing, or if they tend to be jerks about that sort of thing. That will basically give you a sense of how easy it's going to be to get it to them. So anyway, that's the booze side of things, but I really wanted to get into some of the mixers side of things. We've got a couple of things right here. I want to start off with by just kind of promoting our variety packs and gift sets. We've got a couple of awesome variety packs and gift sets. Obviously, if you're familiar with Modern Bar Cart, then you're probably familiar with our bitters variety packs, which I'll grab right here. So Ethan, you can show that to the camera. This is sort of what a variety pack looks like. We'll have the Essentials line, of course, and the Heritage Collection, available in variety pack format. And these are great. It's $19.99 and $24.99 respectively. So it's a pretty affordable gift for your anybody who's sort of starting out their home bar. And then we also, of course, have our 100 ml bottles. Ethan, show off the 100 ml aromatic there. So these are, if you've got like an old fashioned enthusiast, or if you've got like a Manhattan Martini enthusiast, these are the types of things that you can give. And these are just like $11.99 a pop. These are sort of in stocking stuffer territory. And so all of those, all 8 flavors that we produce are going to be available on our site, modernbarcart.com, and you can pick those up. We ship them right out for you, straight to your doorstep, and we've actually had really, really low breakage rates. We've really improved our ability to ship glass and liquid and all that stuff. So I just brought about a dozen orders to UPS before we did this. So anyway, the next variety pack I wanted to show off is right here, courtesy of Element Shrub.
Yeah, so if you are looking for either a no ABV option, if you want something a little bit different, if you've got a friend or family member who's a little bit more on the, we'll just say the granola side, but really this is a pretty nice novel thing for a lot of people. I mean, Element Shrub is older than we are at this point, right?
We started around the same time. I think we both started about 2015. So yeah, a friend of the podcast, Charlie Birkinshaw, he has created this. So we have 2 bestseller packs, or rather 2 variety packs. One is the bestseller pack that has the chai pear, the ginger lime, and the lemon mint. And then what we have right here is the tropical variety pack, which is my favorite. It's got their grapefruit vanilla, pineapple turmeric, and honeydew jalapeno. And one of those things that I love, sort of like Christmas in July. Well, what about summer in the winter? I love busting out those sort of tropical type flavors, especially around the holidays. Mostly because there's so much great citrus in season. Citrus tends to be that upside down type of thing where it's in season when it seems like it should be out of season, but that's just because it doesn't grow up here where it freaking snows. Yeah. So, so those are the variety packs that we have, and we'll talk a little bit about kits in a few minutes here. But the other thing that I'm super excited to share is that Tori from Pratt Standard, with their various cocktail syrups, has just come out with a number of 8-ounce bottles. Now, we've been carrying a bunch of their 16-ounce bottles on our site, and those are great. I mean, super great value. You get a ton out of it. However, if you're not quite sure if you are gonna like a flavor, it's better to have a smaller bottle at a lower price point so you can test it out before you commit to the big boy. So, very excited that she has come out with some of these smaller bottles. And actually, what we've got here is we have a new flavor, and this we're actually not going to carry this all year round. It's the cranberry orange syrup. And so it's basically a rich, simple syrup base. It's got that Demerara sugar. And then, it's got the beautiful cranberry and orange flavors. Of course, these are sort of things that we associate with the holidays. So whether you are the host who's going to be creating a holiday punch, like you could just use this as the sweet in your holiday punch and design an entire recipe around using this whole 8-ounce bottle. That's a completely valid thing to do. That's the sort of thing that I'm actually going to sort of plan to do for my Christmas. Otherwise, it's super, super exciting to me that we have these smaller bottles.
Yeah, and we're actually, I'm going to just blow it up now. We're going to be using this in a few minutes just to kind of give you an idea of what you can make with these less, I don't even want to call them esoteric types of syrup. Like a cranberry syrup, pretty normal.
Yep.
But, this is almost like, I would call it like a festive seasonal grenadine almost.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, the cranberry and the pomegranate kind of play in a similar taste space, a little bit different flavors, but because she uses those Turkish pomegranates in the grenadine, it does have a bit more of that sour profile.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, why don't we get to that thing we were going to make, because it's going to be a bit of a production.
What can I get you?
Yeah, so, well, get some ice. Get 3 cubes in your glass here. I think 3 cubes is going to do us.
All right.
And what we're going to show off right now is we're going to make an old-fashioned. So, Ethan, I'll let you kick it off. Why don't you just do half ounce of the syrup and 2 ounces of the bourbon, a few shakes of the bitters. Go ahead and make yours first. Now, what I like to do when I'm using a syrup in an old-fashioned is I like to do the syrup first, because what happens is that the spirit acts as sort of like the washer, and it kind of cleans any of that excess syrup out of the jigger. So, we've got a half ounce of the Pratt Standard cranberry orange syrup here. So we're making basically a cranberry orange old fashioned.
All right.
And then we've got
a bourbon.
Bourbon. You'll see that I shop at Costco based on the size of this bottle. We're going to talk about these sexy mixing glasses that are sitting behind here in a few minutes, but we're actually making these in the glass for a very specific reason that will be revealed in just a moment.
Oh my God, this looks... So I just want to point out the color. This looks like a Christmas sweater. So these glasses, which you can actually find on modernbarcart.com.
Well, while they're still in stock, because these have been hard to get back in stock, so we only have a limited number of the Acopa Gardenia Rocks glasses. Ba, ba, ba.
It's got a nice little star pattern here. It looks like a Christmas sweater with that red cranberry syrup in there. I'm going to add a couple dashes of the Essentials line aromatic bitters.
Yeah, man.
And why don't you go ahead and...
I'm going to get those bitters right in there in my glass.
Go ahead and mix yourself up one. And then I'll give this guy, as we all know, a little stir. Now, are we selling these spoons on modernbarcart.com?
Not this model. We've got one. We do have a bar spoon. I'm hoping that bar spoons. It sounds like a bit of a silly aspiration. It's like, man, I'm really excited for 2021 for bar spoons. But I'm actually I'm hoping that we can actually get some exclusivity deals with some partners, because bar spoons are one of those things where I can get them like at a price point that you would want to pay for them, but I can only get very limited styles and sizes. And with bar spoons, like at home, like this is about a foot long, like this one. And for whatever reason, the ones that we can get wholesale right now from most distributors are like way longer. And it's just, you can't even fit that in a silverware drawer.
It's
or like
probably for these. I'm thinking this has to do with professional use, large shakers, large mixing pints. It is really obnoxious, but the point is, like, one of those things that for the aspiring cocktail enthusiast in your life, it is really nice to get them a solid bar spoon, a good set of a good measuring jigger, a good set of mixing glasses. These are all things that we stocked on here because I keep buying new mixing glasses, in part because I keep breaking old mixing glasses, but also because we're always trying to find better gear that we can optimize for making drinks at home.
Yeah, and the bar spoon that we do offer currently, the nice thing about it is that it has that fork tip on the back end, so it's really great for skewering those brandy cherries or those olives. So it does have a great utility factor, and it has the great size factor. Those are the two things I was optimizing for the existing bar spoon, but again, hopefully in 2021 we'll be able to get even more options. That's sort of the thing I want to do in 2021 is get a few other categories in there. We're definitely lining up some flasks, some really cool flasks, but I just want to get more variety so that if you go on the site and you don't see the color or the material or the style that you want, then in 2021 you'll be able to come back to the site and be like, oh cool, they've really opened up the number of options that they have. And we've actually done that in the mix and glass category, which we'll get into a second here. But first, Ethan, why don't you tell folks, while I prep, why don't you tell folks why we made these in the glass?
All right, so we're making these in the glass for two reasons. One, because glasses are clear and made of glass, we can showcase the ice that went into them. So we are going to be bringing out a certain ice making system that's a little bit over the top, but is fitting of of my co-founder Eric Kozlik.
Actually, let's do that right now.
All right, you want to start there?
Yeah. So this is I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it's pronounced D-ice here. Actually, I want you to show that it's spelled D-ice.
It's spelled like dice, lowercase d, capital I-C-E. Now what it is, it's an insulated container with a set of silicone,
yeah.
Yeah, silicone being the
microchip thing.
So what this is it's effectively like a very nice, almost like cooler with a silicone liner here that pops out and an ice cube tray that has some holes in the bottom of it. And what they were trying to do when making this ice system is replicate a lot of the, what we call DIY methods that a lot of bartenders had figured out to make crystal clear ice. So what you're able to do is you're able to get 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 perfectly clear transparent ice cubes at home. Pretty reasonable price. We are carrying those on modernbarcart.com, right?
We're not. I do want to carry some more ice stuff. We do have the 2 by 2 inch silicone ice cube trays. That's what I use most in my life. Now, just a couple of things to note on this. This is actually courtesy. I was gifted this courtesy of one of our listeners, Adam from Texas. I get a lot of great use out of it, and so that's why I wanted to bring it on our gift guide, just to send some love their way, because I think it's an actually good product. So this isn't just about us. It's about getting people you love good gifts. Now, the 18 cube tray here is the 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter, and those are the ice cubes that you see in our glasses right now. If you see that they're not perfectly clear, that's because I froze them too fast. I've gotten some work done on my freezer. I supercharged it, baby, and I just need to turn the temperature down. As the ice freezes slower, it does make perfectly clear cubes. So for what it's worth, if you end up picking that up, that's the move to do. Now,
what the heck are you doing over there?
Now,
he's pouring wood chips into a mesh that is suspended over his glass.
Well, it's like a wood dust. It's like it's coming out of a little tin, like you see like chewing tobacco, or like I remember when I was a kid, there was like jerky, like little pieces of jerky that kind of imitated chewing tobacco and was sort of this size and relative consistency. So what we've got here is the Fog Hat cocktail smoker, and we just picked these up. Here, we'll let you show that. So what we're gonna do here is we've got a cranberry orange old fashioned featuring a wintry special syrup from Pratt Standard. We've got the rocks glasses that we carry. We've got clear ice with a product that I really love. And now we're going to smoke this bad boy on air. We're carrying these in a couple of different formats. One format is just going to be the smoker itself that comes with a little tin of fuel. Switch the camera back to me so you can see. So it's this smoker type thing right here. And it comes with a little tin of fuel as such, and then a topper, and you'll see how this works in just a moment. We also have one that comes with a small culinary torch. We can't include the butane with it, but you can get butane pretty much anywhere, unless you live in California, then it's a little bit trickier. But they start all those fires there anyway, so maybe if you live in California, maybe you should just stay away from flames and stuff like that for the time being until it cools off. But yeah, so we do have a kit that comes with a culinary torch and then two other tins. So you get 3 tins of fuel with that. So we have a couple different price point options for that. And I once had a culinary torch and I got so fed up with it because it stuck a little bit and just ended up burning out an entire thing of butane while getting super hot, and I couldn't get it to unstick from the setting, that I decided I was going to sort of upgrade my torch here. So I'm about to introduce something that's a little bit terrifying. My wife is in the other room, not happy that I'm using this in the house right now. So let's be gentle.
Not for the faint-hearted. The man has a normal blowtorch.
So this is
Called
actually
Boozy.
this is actually the Dave Arnold of Cooking Issues fame recommended blowtorch for culinary use. If you're a Searsall person, the Searsall connects to this. And so this is running on a propane cylinder right now. So I'm gonna crank her up here, and oh yeah,
Jesus Christ.
all right, got some smoke going on, and we're gonna cover that right up.
And what kind of chips did you use for that one? Because these oak chips come in a few
yes.
different, I'm going to call them flavors.
This is the bourbon barrel oak flavor. So I'll hand that over to you. So talking again about why we made these in the glass is because the way that the fog hat works the best is it basically creates a thermal sink. And so you want to smoke something that's already been pre-chilled. So I wanted that glass to get chilled. Now we could have made this in a mixing glass and then poured it into a chilled cocktail glass, but that's a little bit difficult to execute when you're live streaming. So that's why we did this. Now, one thing that I'm learning is that the Boozy kind of blows, it blows a lot of those wood chips out there. So maybe go for indirect contact, maybe just graze it across the top of the chips when you're doing it, Ethan. You want to leave the fog hat on top of your cocktail for a little, like for maybe a minute or two, like I've been doing here. And you can sort of see, I don't know here, well, Ethan, when you make yours, you can show camera too. And yeah, why don't you fire that up just to test? Yeah, it sounds like a hot air balloon, doesn't it?
You also have to do 2 tests. You can't just do the single.
No.
You gotta go. Oh, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
The smoke just kind of hangs on the surface of the cocktail, which is what's kind of cool here. There are other ways you can smoke liquids. One would be using those the ones that have an air gun attached to them. Yeah. This is more fun for single use.
I would keep.
That bowl's still good.
Yeah.
This is basically. Go
ahead and add a little bit on top for yourself.
Like we'll call it a dorm, like an artisanal dorm room gravity bong for your cocktails.
Basically. Now, I had a little text back and forth with a friend of the podcast, former guest Dan Marlowe, who's a bartender here in the DC area, and he loves making clear ice. He loves smoking cocktails. He does that. He does it a lot. And one of the things, hold on, before you light that thing up, one of the things that he says about this sort of contraption is that it's less effective than smoking cocktails under what would be called a cloche, which is that big bowl glass bowl effectively. Now, are cloches cool? Yes. Are they theatrical? Yes. Do they add to the experience? Yes. But they're also expensive. They take up a lot of room. And if I'm just making a cocktail for myself and one other person, I don't need all that bullshit. Like it's a little bit too, it's too much for me in the home space. And so I was able to see a demo of the fog hat, and I was really happy with how it worked. Of course, using a much gentler torch than this one. But here, why don't you?
Let me get the hat.
Yeah, get that. I'll put you on camera too. So
all right,
why don't you show the people at home? Yeah.
I apologize for the amount of.
Put the cap on it. Yeah.
Let me get it burning. All right.
All right.
And you should see it fog up. You can see that the fog hat is still permeating smoke out through those little holes.
Yep.
And it forms a pretty decent seal over the top. I would say do this under your stove hood if you're going to do it at home. Or, as we've done, put a bag over your smoke detector because, it's very fragrant.
Yeah, it is. It's, and so I'm going to take a little sip of mine since I've got it here. And it's delightful. Nice and tangy from the cranberry orange. You get the cranberry, you do get the orange as well. So this is my first time tasting this. Obviously, Pratt Standard just does amazing work, so I wasn't concerned about it. But you get definite cranberry, definite orange, and I do like this with a lighter bourbon. Now, I'm a wheated bourbon guy anyway. It's my preference. Larceny, what we're drinking right now, is a wheated bourbon. But I think when you're adding smoke to something, it's kind of the wine pairing thing. Either go with something smoky and crank it to 11, or go with something light like this and then add that little bit of depth to it. That's kind of how I think of smoking things. I'm super happy that we have the fog hats. Now, we do have a very limited number of these because they're flying off the shelves for obvious reasons. Our distributor is currently sold out. We got like the last ones that they had in inventory. So we're just sort of piloting this. So if you're into smoking things, then please do give it a try. With a torch that is not blowing all the wood chips out like my mini welding device here, I'm pretty confident because I've seen it done live in person, and it gives a lovely smoke profile, and you can just kind of let it hang there in the glass. Even once you take that the fog hat off, there's still that thermocline, that thermal sink in there, so the smoke will actually just hang right above your drink. So that is sort of our start to finish cranberry old fashioned with smoke. Yeah. Tasty. So start to finish cranberry orange old fashioned with a bunch of different things that we either recommend as gifts or that we are currently carrying on modernbarcart.com. So what I want to turn our attention to right now is a couple of these beautiful mixing glasses we have. This is actually the place where I've been able to make a couple of different kind of like really nice different price point upgrades. So we've got right here, the one that's closest to you, if you want to hold that up to camera 2, that is the Libby. I want to say that it's the Libby Carrot. It's something pertaining to the gem-like quality of the pattern on the outside. I think it's the Carrots collection or something like that. Carrot is in, carrot gold or carrot diamond, not carrot the vegetable.
It's got a nice it's got a nice heft to it, which is good.
Yeah.
It will chill down a cocktail well. It's not overly heavy though. There are some that are, a good half-inch thick on the glass walls. I like that. I have one of a similar volume. You can make a batch of cocktails for a group of people, like a small martini pitcher almost.
Yep.
It is beaker shaped, which is sort of classic. And the thing that I noticed about this, even though we weren't mixing in the mixing pint today, is that it has a perfectly smooth inside, which which sounds like I'm just looking for qualities to, talk about this for airtime purposes. When you're trying to get that stirring motion, it doesn't catch your ice. It allows the ice to rotate. It allows you to get the dilution and chilling that you're trying to get. And I'm guessing if you're following a live stream from Modern Bar Cart, you probably have thought about all of those things when mixing a drink at some point.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it. That's definitely under $30. I think I don't have the price points in front of me right now, but both of these are very affordable.
To modernbarcart.com.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Switch the camera back to yourself for a minute while I tell everyone the prices.
Okay. And then the other mixing beaker that we have here is the this beautiful footed striated, also I believe from Libby. This is the Flashbacks series, and this thing looks like it's like straight out of a 1920s sort of Gatsby-esque kind of setup. It's very pretty. And it is, I've already mixed with it a few times at home, and a footed mixing glass is just a slightly different experience. I don't know what it is about a footed mixing glass, but I really love mixing with them because it's one of those sort of gifty things, sort of like engraving a bottle. It just feels a little bit more special. I don't know, and I guess that's sort of one of my big takeaways or recommendations for holiday gift giving in the spirits and cocktail space anyway. If there's ever a time of year to make it feel special, it's this time of year. So the little flourishes and the slight places where you can get good bang for your buck in terms of going for a slightly higher quality, you want to do that this time of year. So that's why we're so stoked to have onboarded these. And Ethan, there's also another glass that we don't have here right in front of us, but it's a type of glass that you enjoy using, named after two people.
Oh, yeah. Well, for starters, I just want to give everyone the full run on this. So we have mixing glasses running between $16.99 for our lower end, but perfectly serviceable when you're trying to build out a whole bar kit.
I just shipped 2 out today.
All the way up to $27.49 for this footed guy.
Oh, really? I thought that was $29.
No, you might want to up the price if we. But this carrot one, which honestly is my favorite of these. I don't care for the footeds, but I get the appeal. Mm-hmm. I like the practicality of that one. That's $24.99.
Yeah.
Now, something we are talking about but not drinking out of right now, it's called a Nikon Nora glass. It's somewhere between like a champagne flute and a champagne coupe. It's shorter, it's narrower, it's not that wide coupe. It's a really great glass for a martini. I like it for the ones that you're trying to keep chilled, minimize the surface to air contact.
Yeah, and if you chill the glass in particular, then
they frost out really nice.
Yeah, so the Nikon Nora glass, another way to think of it, like they were also just simply referred to as cocktail glasses back when they were in vogue for the first time. Nikon Nora, so I did the research. I think it was... I think Audrey Saunders from the famous New York bar owner and mixologist named this after two characters from a book series called the Thin Man series, or book or TV series, and it's sort of like that film noir type thing where they drink a lot of booze and it's black and white. It's sort of like classic New York. And apparently there are a couple of characters in this called Nick and Nora, and they would always be seen drinking out of glasses like these. So the Nick and Nora title, actually, I think it originated in like 2005 or 2009 or something.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they're not like Nick and Nora as far as the research I've done, but I love the size and shape of the glass. So of course, we'll have pictures of those up on the show notes page for this episode, and they're just listed right alongside all of our other coupe glasses, which I will also make a plug for. We have these at ridiculously good prices, especially if you buy a set and make shipping easier for us, because really what you're paying more for if you buy individuals or pair or non-set quantities is the amount of packaging that we have to put in for those to arrive to you unbroken, because they're miserable to ship. But on the coupe glass front, we have the regular coupes, and then we have, for like maybe 50 cents or $1 more a piece, the silver and gold gilded coupe glasses.
Those are just
nice.
Really fun to. Yeah, so you're paying a couple bucks more, but what you're getting is something with, like, it actually does look like you're drinking at a nice bar. Yeah. All of them do, but the ones with that little gilding around the rim, it's a good look, and I would endorse buying sets of glasses, buying more of them, because we'd rather you break them than we do. I tend to just pick up. If I think I need 4 whiskey glasses, I'll buy 8, because the worst thing in the world is to buy 4 and then break one, and now you've got a set of 3 of something.
I just had somebody from Mississippi today buy 11 of these Acopa Gardenia rocks glasses that we're currently drinking out of right now. So for what it's worth, somebody decided that 11 was the magic number. But hey, they're on their way, and they should arrive in good shape. So so in terms of glassware, I think that's one of the best things we've been able to do this year is source glassware. Now, it has not been easy. Like I said, I feel like I've aged several years in the past week. But yeah, it's something that I'm super proud of on the site in terms of like the options that we have available. So please do think of us for your glassware needs. And anything else to talk about in the glassware, the tools, hardware? What else do we have?
We've got tasting journals, we've got gift sets, and we've got something else made of oak.
Yeah, let's talk. What do you do out of glass? You taste at them. So let's do a quick plug for the tasting journal here. So we have the Essential Tasting Journal for spirits and cocktails. And this is something that we launched about 1.5 to 2 years ago, and it's designed to basically help people who are just starting their journeys as home bartenders or as spirits enthusiasts learn how to conduct structured tastings. Now, that's something I've been able to learn on the job as I've done things like judge for the American Distilling Institute and working in a more consulting type capacity with other distillers and bartenders. But it's something that most people just don't get taught. You get taught, well, here's some whiskey, enjoy. But this journal, it's about $18, and it's fully readable and writable. So it comes with a front section, about 30 or 40 pages of instruction written by me, where I kind of break down how flavor and aroma work in the senses and then in the brain. So there's a little bit of neuroscience in there. Actually, Ethan, you found the flavor wheel. Why don't you hold that flavor wheel up to camera 2 so that folks can check that out. So we actually designed this custom flavor wheel, and this is there to help people kind of go from a general tasting note like fruity to maybe a more specific tasting note like tropical fruit, and then to a very specific tasting note like pineapple or mango. And all you do is you literally just kind of follow the trail from the inside of the circle to the outside of the circle where the notes get more granular. And it's a great tool to have. So we really tried to bake in a lot of kind of usefulness in this book, and it has sections for different spirits. So like gins, whiskeys, and then it also has a specific section for cocktails. So if you're trying to create and perfect a cocktail, you can actually take notes on that cocktail, and it's set up a little bit different than the spirits tasting notes pages, because with cocktails you also have things like service temperature, you have things like texture, and so we put specific thought into how we were going to structure those cocktail tasting pages, because it is just different than a regular spirits tasting. So that's what we wanted to do there. So anyway, Essential Tasting Journal for Spirits and Cocktails, written by me. We have a ton of these available. I had to order so many thousands of them to get printed, and they've been selling well. But when you start off with thousands and thousands, you tend to have a pretty good inventory. So that's a great thing actually to pair with. The last piece of glassware I will mention is the Glencairn Glasses. Generally, if you watch one of these live streams and you see us tasting through things, you're going to see us using these Glencairn glasses, the sort of bell-shaped. We have those for sale too. So if you wanted to pair a couple of Glencairn glasses and a tasting journal, I think that would be a really solid holiday gift.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that you want to think about with this is if you've got a friend who's just gotten really into a specific thing, let's say your cousin is coming back from Scotland on a trip in the future when we're allowed to go to Scotland.
Yeah. In hypothetical land.
And they've just become obsessed with Scotch. Pick them up a tasting journal, pick them up a couple of Glencairn glasses, and let them really study and nerd out on this stuff.
Yeah, it's a good way to support a habit that in a healthy way, right? Because if they have to think about it hard and maybe do a little bit of writing about it, then that'll slow you down from maybe 3 drinks a night to 2 drinks, 2 really thoughtful drinks.
Yeah, I think in the last year what I've learned is that it's okay to. It's okay. Well, I'm going to borrow actually from South Park, which I don't know if you're a fan. I used to be a huge fan and still take it in every now and again. But where Randy Marsh says, it's called wine tasting and it's classy. I'm not having 1 glass of wine. I'm having 6. And it's the same idea. It was classy yesterday when one of our friends suggested tasting an entire bottle of whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Looking at you on Instagram Live.
I used one of the OG Glencairn glasses from 2011 that you gifted me that to go through the Port Charlotte Scotch, and that's why I was thinking if you've got a friend who's obsessed with a spirit, it works for all of them, even vodka. Weirdly enough. Yeah,
weirdly enough. Vodka is my favorite spirit to comparatively taste. I love it. That digression aside, why don't you hand me a couple of those kits that we're putting together? Now these are
one of the big moves we've done since we decided we are really an e-commerce and drinking lifestyle company.
Yeah, this is our big boy move. And again, this is going to be one of those limited quantity things, limited availability in addition to quantity, because they're very labor intensive to put together and source. So what we've got here is, this is the box that it's going to come in. Ethan, why don't you do the open and reveal, and I'll sort of narrate here. Just be careful you don't drop any glasses.
Switch the camera over to me.
Sure. All right.
All right, so what we got here...
Is that the Art of the Martini in Manhattan?
It is. It's an orange bitters, 2 coupe glasses, a measuring jigger, an excellent strainer, and that's it. And a bunch of packing material and a card.
And yeah, so it comes with the Art of the Martini in Manhattan kind of recipe card, and it's got everything that you need to make a set of martinis/Manhattans. All you just need to do is add the booze. So, we made these really nice recipe cards, and the glassware is on the smaller side, admittedly, because it's one of those things that tends to add up really quickly in terms of the size of the box. So we wanted to keep this kind of small, kind of efficient.
But also, martinis, I think, are one of the drinks that is victim to the way too large glass, pushing you to make a drink that is way too large.
So what I'll call these glasses, I will call these Petworth Citizen glasses, because these are the types of glasses that we would have been served drinks at back in the day at the Petworth Citizen when they were doing like their amazing sort of classic cocktail program. You can just leave that open and stick it behind you, so that we don't mess with.
Guide. We're supposed to have it all in the shot by the end of this.
Yeah, it will. Well, yeah, in a perfect world. And then, so also, just quickly open the other one that we have here. This one is the Art of the Old Fashioned, just so that we can show people. And instead of the orange bitters, we have the aromatic bitters. And instead of the strainer, we have a really nice muddler. So, like you just saw us do, you can make these right in the glass, and you have everything that you need minus the liquid ingredients to make your old fashioned right in the glass, just like we did. So you could get somebody the Art of the old fashioned, and you could maybe even throw in a bottle of the Pratt Standard syrup in there. And that would be a really nice gift. But yeah, so these are going to be available if you're in the DC area. You can. We're actually doing an exclusivity with Shop Made in DC for these kits for this holiday season, just because we do have limited quantities. And you'll also be able to purchase them on our site. Now, if you get it at Shop Made in DC, please don't ship it somewhere, because it's not going to come with packing materials and it's all going to break. When you receive these from us, it will be packed such that the glasses aren't going to clink up against themselves and all the other kind of hard items in there. So
what I would recommend to anyone who's buying these on the e-commerce, it's going to be a little bit hard to show. I'm trying to get this in the shot. It does come with some nice crinkle paper, but the reality is when we ship this to you, it's going to look a little bit different. Yeah. This is like what we were going for here is an unboxing experience. So what Eric and I would recommend is, if you really want to do it up for your loved one or friends, I hope you love your friends. So let's just say your loved one that you get the gift for, is open up the box yourself, take some things out and arrange them. This is a great experience. It's a nice little, I mean, it's the perfect size to wrap up and put under your tree or whatever you want to put it on.
Whatever you want to stack your presents on.
So it's a great present size box. I didn't know that was a thing, but it really is. If I was unwrapping something and it was in this shape, I'd have no freaking idea what it was.
Yeah, it is. It's a good size, and it's like the design on the outside. I basically picked my favorite mixing glass box that I've ever seen, and basically just shamelessly ripped off the design with our logo. So it looks a little bit wallpapery, sort of. You could actually put this under the tree or the whatever your non-denominational gifting apparatus is.
Your Festivus pole,
et cetera, et cetera. You could put this wherever you want to. You could not even wrap it. You could just, it's pretty enough as is. So, we've got these, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, the idea with this is going to be sort of our beta version. It's wonderful as is. There's nothing beta about it, but sort of what we want to do down the line as we're able to scale this is hopefully get it so that we can create custom inserts so that we can just ship these as is, and you'll have like an insert that holds the different glasses separate to each other. It's just, those are very difficult and expensive to design for. So we want to make sure we get proof of concept, get a little bit of feedback first before we spend thousands and thousands of dollars, machining, paying for dyes, and doing things that are not even remotely fun, only to find out that people didn't really want them.
All right, so this is Kaz complaining about his job. Now, what I would like to think about this conceptually is, we did the shopping for you, and we're just asking that you pay us for the shit we put in the box. So the way I would put these right now is, yes, we will get to a point where we have elite versions of these that look really, really awesome. This is a good packaging on us thinking through, in years and years of drinking and testing and drinking and testing, what would you need to give someone a gift that lets them play around in the kitchen, make a little cocktail, and have a good time. So just consider this. We're giving you the shopping list if you've got someone who's into spirits, into cocktails in mind for the holidays.
Yeah. I think we deserve applause for that. So the last thing I have here is sort of going back to the wood idea where we were smoking some things with these fog hat smokers. What we have here, Ethan, I'll let you unbox. You're wearing green. You're my little elf right now. Oh, speaking of festive things, we're talking about footed mixing glasses and festivity. I am wearing what Marshall's refers to.
You're in the logo, bro.
Oh, I'm in the logo, brogo. How about now?
Yeah, you're all right. You could pull it in towards yourself.
Ugh.
There you go. There you go.
I am so inflexible right now. Thanks, COVID. So I've got some festive, what Marshall's refers to as mucklucks. I think that's probably offensive to somebody somewhere who actually makes these things out of animal skins, but they're basically festive slipper socks. So I did dress for the occasion, even though you can't see it.
How the heck do I? Wow, that is really well packed. So if you get one of these from us, this is something that I'm not going to guarantee because I know it's the holidays. I know it's a hard time to
talk to the mic.
I know it's a hard time to know what is going to come in the mail. And we're trying to be the best COVID people we can be.
Goodness
hey,
gracious.
You try to get this shit out of the box. I'm really trying to.
Here, grab it and I'll pull.
No, I got it. All right. So what I'm trying to show you is a little oak barrel.
Yes.
Ooh, we got it.
So we've got, again, a very limited number of nice charred aging barrels. And the cool thing about the place that we're sourcing these from, here, I'll let Ethan show off to the camera while I'm talking a little bit. So it actually comes with a nice little stand. It's got stainless, it's got steel bands on it. And the cool thing about these barrels is that this is the only company that I've come across that's actually creating these barrels from scratch for home consumers. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, most small format barrels that you see on the market are going to be created using cast-offs from barrels that have already been used. So maybe they rechar it, which in and of itself is a bit suspect because at that point, like, well, what is your char level really? And how much of the previous flavor are you burning off versus how much you've already have in there? Like, I'm just not quite sure what to do with that information because, like, if you're really serious about barrel aging and you want to start playing around with it at home in a serious way, I mean, it stands to reason to me that you'd want to mimic the things that distillers are doing. Like, am I crazy?
It lends some authenticity to it if you are playing that way.
So there are versions, you'll see running around out there barrels that are varnished on the outside. That is something we will never carry. That's completely decorative. If you see anybody aging a spirit in a small format barrel that has varnish on the outside, maybe you should kindly tell them that it's not being allowed to breathe the way that oak naturally breathes. And I'm not saying that you're ever going to, with a small format barrel, be able to replicate what can be done in a larger barrel at a true distillery rickhouse where there's, temperature variation, expansion, contraction, all these wonderful things that result in the barrel-aged spirits that we love and place on a pedestal. But it helps to at least kind of try a little bit to get somewhere near there, somewhere in that universe. So that's what we tried to do here. We found a barrel maker that is actually doing this, with the end user in mind, and we will have these. I believe these are all 1 liter barrels.
This
or are these
like
two?
No, this is a 2 liter.
Is it 2 liter? So we've got 2 liter barrels.
Maybe 1.5. I'm trying to remember.
No,
it's
a 2. It's definitely a 2. I'm looking at it right now. The other thing I will mention is that the current versions that we have, down the road they may look slightly different because again, this company that we're sourcing from, they've been having a hard time just as we have keeping things in stock because it's hard to source things during COVID. But the barrels may look a little bit different down the line. They might not be as chunky as this because these are chunky sort of on the outside. The inside will be exactly the same. The char. Now, what I will say about these is that they are not going to be as charred as you would find a barrel in a distillery. This is char levels go sort of like 1 through 4, and then there's people who crank it to 11 and have char 5 barrels.
Is that alligator char at that point?
4 is, I think, technically alligator char, and 5 is like, is there a barrel left? This would be somewhere around like a 2 char, but what you got to remember is this is a small format barrel. So a 2 char on a small format barrel is going to be closer to like a 3 or 4 char on a medium barrel.
We'll have another episode where we go into this. It's
not a 1-to-1. It's never going to be a 1-to-1, but suffice it to say that if you look inside of these barrels, if you were to get like a little scope camera and go into these barrels, it's going to be a lighter char than you would see than on a large barrel, but that's intentional. And it's so that you don't put something in there for a week and then take it out and taste it and have it be over oaked.
Yeah. This is, it's a matter of surface area.
Exactly.
You have a 55-gallon barrel, alligator charred. There are parts of that liquid that do not touch the char every day. Mm-hmm. In this case, you've got basically a handle of whatever you're putting in there.
Right.
It's gonna do a lot. It's gonna do a lot of aging really quickly.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about this. So that you could, this is a 2-liter barrel, and I think I remember actually talking with you like, oh, what do we get? And I think there's something to be said for being able to put a handle of something, because you're going to stick it in a barrel. You don't want to get the nicest thing out there. That's kind of counterproductive. So you get a handle of something middle of the road at best, you put it in there, and then you can sort of taste it as it goes. And because you have a handle of it, you can be pretty confident that even if you're aggressively tasting as this thing ages, you're going to have at least a 750 ml bottle left by the time it's done to your satisfaction, even if you were an aggressive taster, to be able to put on the shelf and rebottle.
Well, the other reason was I was thinking through what kind of cocktails would you age. You might age a Manhattan. Fair. A 2-to-1 Manhattan puts you at, well, you'll have a little bit left over, but you would basically do your, about a 1.3 liters of your bourbon or rye and about 0.6 to 0.7 liters of your favorite sweet vermouth. Add some of our bitters and toss it in this barrel for a while. Negroni, you're doing just under a bottle of each.
Yeah, I was just talking spirits, but yeah, you're right. And we're actually, hopefully, down the line, we will also have some sort of oak product that is specifically designed as an experience, sort of like a guided cocktail aging experience. I think cocktail aging can be done well and interestingly, and I can't think of a time that I've seen it done well or interestingly. And so that's something, I mean, you can certainly barrel age. Well, hey, what are you going to do? I spent all day doing this and thinking about it, but you could certainly barrel age cocktails in this. I think that would be an awesome application. And especially because then like after you barrel age, like let's say you were to barrel age like a Manhattan, like you were just talking about, then stick some gin in there. And then you've got something between an Old Tom gin, which is sweetened, and a simple barrel-aged gin, which is not sweetened. So you've got like an interesting way to kind of take that shit. Like you can put a gin in there, and that gin can take on that sugar and still be recognizable as a product. Right. Like now you're just sort of working in the direction of an Old Tom, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about barrel-aged cocktails, and we're hopefully going to be able to, once our sourcing and the pandemic and all this other stuff that we've all been putting up with for the entire year starts to give in a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to come out with some cool products and experiences for you down the road with that. But for now, we really want your feedback, especially on the cocktail smokers, especially on the barrels, and certainly on these different types of glasswares that we've been having. Tell us what you like. Tell us what there's not enough of, and tell us what you want more of, like that you really like that we have, and that you just pull out all the stops, get all that stuff, because hopefully after the holidays we'll have a nice little chunk of cash and we'll be able to actually bring some stuff on. Like I was saying, we're going to be doing some flasks, and you as our listeners and consumers get to sort of have a voice in that too. So we do hope that you'll get in touch with us. info@podcast@modernbarcart.com are both good emails, and we get a bunch of emails every week, and we are always happy to get more emails and get more voices in there. So yeah, I mean, Ethan, what else? What do you have to say to wrap up this holiday gift guide? Any other thoughts? Anything that we're missing here that we forgot?
I prefer unaged spirits if anyone is in the shopping mood. No, what I think is a great idea is like the reason why I'm gonna just keep going back. The reason why we're doing this today, the reason why we tried to put together gift boxes, is we have been gifting and have been gifted so much of this stuff. We want you to have the confidence that you can give a good gift here. Any of these things would make a worthy gift for different levels of mixologist, but at the end of the day, just put the right thought into it and consider the actual use case for that product when you're giving it to the person. You're going to have a good time. They're going to have a good time, and they'll know that you put thought into it. We've only put thought into everything that's on this site.
Yeah. And the other thing I should mention too, like I was just saying, like shoot us an email, tell us what you want. If you have somebody that you're trying to gift for and you're like, well, I know they like this, but I don't know what goes with this. Well, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like, and we're not going to jerk you around. Like,
Add us.
Yeah. We don't upsell. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I think you and I actually have bonded over, we've ended up spending more of our money at liquor stores where we get people who do not upsell us. And like you and I have had like a number of experiences on this front where like we've gone in somewhere, we've been looking at a bottle at like $40 or $50, and someone's like, no, you want this. This is less expensive and better. And
you're talking about someone, and he's a recurring character in our drinking journey. Kaz knows his name. It's escaping me, but I call him Suggestion Man.
It's Richard at Schneider's. If you go to Schneider's of Capitol Hill and you're in the spirits section or the liqueur section, Richard is probably going to pop his head around the corner and say, hey, how's it going? Can I help you find anything?
And he'll say, no, you don't want that. And then he'll point you almost always to something a little bit less expensive that he personally can tell you is better. And I got to tell you, when I was making $35,000 a year and living in a basement apartment in DC, and I was picking up a handle of what I thought was going to be a step up in my whiskey, and Richard came around and said, you don't want to buy that. That man saved me from so many regrettable purchasing decisions at a time when I could not afford to make those mistakes. God bless you, Richard. God bless every Richard in every liquor store who has good advice.
Yeah, I think that, and I guess in the end, we try to embody that ethos. It's funny how like you just meet random people over the course of your life, or whether it's your personal or professional life. For me, my personal drinking life is sort of connected in a weird way to my professional situation, such that it is. But yeah, his ethos, that like we don't upsell type thing, is because I know that if I don't upsell you, you'll be happy and you'll come back and maybe you'll tell your friends about us. And that's all we do here. It's not magic. It's not that complicated. It is complicated during a pandemic, but we figured out some ways to do it. So Ethan Hall, thank you for joining me. For everybody out there watching the Instagram live stream, we're sorry that you had to tilt your phones horizontally, but
we're sorry about whatever you can even hear all the way over there.
No, I think they can hear. I think it's pretty good.
The mic's pretty good?
Yeah, I have a Pixel.
Add us about that as well.
Yeah.
I see your little comments there.
Yeah, for folks who are commenting on IG Live, we're really sorry, but once we end this stream, we're not going to be able to get back to you. So for folks in the future, I do recommend checking this out on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. I think we're going to try and do LinkedIn Live because, just to spam people and catch them off guard a little bit.
Oh, God, you're going to just kill my non-booze career.
And we are also on Twitch, baby. So for anybody out there watching video games, maybe you should just watch a couple of guys drink and talk about it. So my name's Eric Kozlik, joined by Ethan Hall for this gift guide. Thanks to everybody for listening, and you can always find these products and so many more over at modernbarcart.com. And why don't we do a quick little, just tiny little cheers to the holidays here as we take ourselves out.
If we must.
There you go. I'll let you pour yourself so that I don't.
Yeah, your tiny little cheers is a little bit bigger than my tiny little cheers. But
that's okay.
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
I gotta get home.
That's what she said.
I've been waiting the whole episode to use that. We have a soundboard.
Give a man a soundboard.
All right. Cheers to your holidays, buddy.
Cheers, bud.
And cheers to all of you out there. And we will see you later.
Peace.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, there's two big things you can do for us here at Modern Bar Cart. One would be to tell your friends and family if you think they'd enjoy listening to us talk about cocktails. And if they don't download podcasts, they can always stream our episodes on their desktop directly from the show notes page at modernbarcart.com. The other thing you can do to help would be to head on over to iTunes or wherever you download your podcasts and leave us a review. 5 stars are great, but we're more interested in your feedback. And the beauty is, the more reviews we have, the easier it will be for other folks out there to learn about our show. We're trying to start a cocktail revolution here, and by spreading the word, you're helping us fight the good fight. You can always reach us by emailing podcast@modernbarcart.com if you're looking for cocktail or bartending advice, or if you're a pro who would like to pull up a mic and be interviewed for all to hear. Also, definitely follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Modern Bar Cart for cocktail porn, recipes, and entertaining tips. And keep an eye out for new product releases and special offers, which are happening all the time. We love our listeners, and we really enjoy giving you exclusive discounts and sneak peeks at our latest and greatest cocktail projects. This episode may be over, but for you, the mixological fun and adventures are just beginning, so remember, folks, drink responsibly and experiment boldly.
This episode was made possible with editing and sound design by Samantha Reed, Boozy advent calendar and holiday gifting advice courtesy of Ethan Hall, and a little bit of over-the-top blowtorch magic by yours truly. This has been a Modern Bar Cart production, copyright 2020.